Called a little after midnight, said it wouldn't take too long. I said I had some time, but I stayed on way too long. You talked about the smallest things, like they mattered in that space, but I barely heard the meaning. I was lost in how you say it. Every word you say falls a little slower in my mind. I stayed for your voice, not for what you said.
Something in the way it moved got inside my head.
I stayed for your voice, like I had no choice.
Every little breath you take
turns into a noise.
You laughed just once, then softer, like you didn't want to wake.
Something in that quiet tone
felt like something I could take. You said maybe I should go now, but I didn't let you go. Said just
one more minute,
but I already knew it wasn't the words,
it wasn't the line,
it was something in between. I
stayed for your voice, and I didn't care
what the night was turning into,
as long as you were there. I stayed for your voice, and I lost the time.
In every little pause you made,
I stayed a little longer in my mind.
Maybe it's nothing real,
Maybe just the
way it feels, but something in that sound
still keeps me around. I stayed for your voice, even after we hung up.
still replaying everything
Like I couldn't get enough. I stayed for your voice, and I don't know why.
but something in that quiet tone
Still hasn't said goodbye.
It was playing on the radio, a song I didn't even know. Nothing special in the sound, just another night, just driving around. Windows down, the city breeze, neon lights and empty streets. Then a line I couldn't ignore, felt like I had heard it before. And I don't know why, but something in that melody brought you back to me. I heard this and thought of you, like the way the sky turns blue right before it fades to night, soft and quiet, out of sight. I heard this and felt it Every word just led to you. Wasn't loud but somehow true. I heard this and thought of you. Your voice in the passenger seat, laughing at the smallest things. Didn't know I'd miss it now. Didn't think it hit this loud. Your hand resting next to mine never crossed the line that time, but we stayed there just enough in that almost kind of love. And I still don't know why that simple melody feels like memory. I heard this and thought of you, like the way the night feels new. Even when it's been too long, still it pulls me like a song. I heard this and fell right through. Every note just led to you. Wasn't love but close enough. I heard this and thought of us. Maybe it was nothing then, just a moment, just pretend, but it stayed somewhere inside, like a song I can't deny. I heard this and thought of you in the silence breaking through. Not a word, but somehow clear, like you're still a little here. I heard this and I just knew some things never really move. They just fade but still remain, like a song you can't explain. I heard this and thought of you.
We sat a little too close, but neither of us moved. The screen was glowing soft, but I was watching you. Popcorn left untouched, your shoulder brushed with mine. Didn't say a word, but something felt aligned. I don't know when the moment started to change, but everything felt different. Your hand found mine in the dark, like it already knew where you are. No hesitation, no surprise, just quiet truth in disguise. Your hand found mine in the dark, like we had done it from the start. No words, no need to explain, just something we couldn't fake.
The movie played on slow, but time was moving fast. Your fingers stayed with mine like they were meant to last.
I tried to act the same, like nothing really changed. But in that quiet space, nothing felt the same. I don't know why,
but I didn't pull away,
and you didn't either. Your hand found mine in the dark,
like it already knew my heart.
no sudden move, no surprise, just something soft and alive. Your hand found mine in the dark,
Like we didn't need a start.
no promise, no big scene, just you and me between.
Maybe it was nothing then,
Just a simple accident.
but I still remember how
It felt so certain. Somehow your hand found mine in the dark,
and it left a quiet mark.
not a word,
Not a sound,
still the loudest thing I found. Your hand found mine in the dark.
even now it leaves a spark.
Some moments never fade, even if they're never named. It was somewhere in May, when the air felt new, flowers on the street, and I walked with you. Sunlight on your hair, like it chose you first. I was trying not to stare, but it only made it worse. And I don't know why everything felt so clear that day, like I was right where I should stay. May smelled like you, soft and warm, like something true. Every breeze just passed you by, then somehow stayed with me inside. May felt like you, light and bright in everything you do. I didn't know what love could be, but it felt like that to me. We didn't plan a thing, just walked without a name, laughing at nothing, but it didn't feel the same. Your voice in the wind still lingers in my mind. I didn't say it then, but I think I knew that time. And I still remember how the world just slowed for us, like it didn't need to rush. May smelled like you, like the sky was painted new. Every step felt soft and slow, like we had nowhere else to go. didn't say what I should say, but I think I lost that day. Maybe it was just a season, maybe there was never a reason, but something in that air still finds me everywhere. May smelled like you, even now it still comes through. Every year when spring appears, I still feel you somewhere near. May lives in you, in everything I couldn't do. Didn't know what I had then, but I still remember when.
It started just like any night, same old place, same soft light. Music low, voices blurred, didn't think I'd hear your words. You laughed a little slower then, looked at me then looked again. Something changed, I couldn't tell, but I felt it just as well. You said things you never said before, like you forgot what we were. We talked until the glass was empty, and everything just came out gently. No walls, no lines, no pretending, just you being real for a minute. We talked until the night went quiet, and I didn't even try to hide it. The way I felt when you said my name, like nothing would be the same. Your hand resting on the table, close enough but still unstable. I didn't move, you didn't too, but something moved between us two. You said, maybe we're just tired, but your eyes said something higher. I didn't ask, I let it stay, didn't want it to fade away. You leaned in like you almost crossed the line, then just smiled like it was fine. We talked until the glass was empty, and every word just felt so heavy, but in a way that made it light, like truth only shows a night. We talked until we ran out slowly of things we used to hide so closely. No need to say what it could be, it was enough, just being free. Maybe it was just that night, maybe you won't feel the same in life, but something in the way you stayed still hasn't really gone away. We talked until the glass was empty, and I still hear it in my memory. The way you almost said too much then pulled away before the touch. We talked until the night was gone. I woke up a little too early. Check my phone just in case. Nothing new, but somehow surely you were already in my day. Coffee sitting, getting colder. Didn't take a single sip. Every minute moving slower, while I kept replaying it. You said you'd come by around 5, and somehow that felt like everything. You said you'd be there, so I stayed right here, counting all the hours like they might disappear. You said you'd be there, and I almost cared more than I should have. But I didn't mind that. Tried to act like I was busy, put some music in the air, but the silence still was with me, like it knew that you'd be there. Sunlight slowly turning golden, shadows stretching on the floor. Every second felt like holding something I can't ignore. You said you'd come before the night, and I believed you every time. You said you'd be there, so I stayed somewhere between a thought and feeling, floating in the air. You said you'd be there, and I didn't care if it meant waiting longer, just to see you there. Maybe it's nothing, just a simple day, but why does it feel like it won't fade away? You said you'd be there, and I'm still right here, watching light turn softer as the night comes near. You said you'd be there, and I'm almost there, somewhere in this moment, waiting without fear. You said you'd be there.
We stayed a little too long in something undefined, not quite right, not quite wrong, just somewhere in between the lines. You called me late at night, like it was nothing new. I never asked you why. I think you wanted me to.
But every time it almost turned to something real, we let it fade instead.
We never made it clear, but you were always here, somewhere close to me,
like a quiet memory.
We never gave it a name,
But it was never the same as just
anyone. You were always the one
I almost loved. We laughed like we were fine, like nothing had to change.
but silence in between.
Said more than we could say,
Your hand brushed mine again.
like it had done before,
We both just let it pass,
like it didn't mean more. And every time it felt like we were getting close, we stepped away again.
we never made it clear,
But I still kept you near,
in ways I couldn't see.
but felt so easily.
We never crossed the line,
But we were never fine as just what we became.
something without a name.
Maybe we were scared,
Of what it could have been,
so we stayed right there.
where nothing could begin. We never made it clear,
But you still linger here.
in every quiet space.
I still feel your trace,
We never called it love,
but it was close enough
to leave something behind
that I still
try to find. We never made it clear.
We didn't plan a thing that day, just walked and let it drift away. No reason, no place to be, just you and that easy breeze. You said something I don't recall, but I remember how I laughed at all, like nothing heavy stayed around, just lightness in the sound. And for a while, everything felt so simple then, like we didn't need to pretend. We laughed like it was easy, like nothing could go wrong, like we had all the time, like we had always known. We laughed like it was nothing, but it stayed with me in every little moment that felt so free. People passing by us slow,
music from a radio,
somewhere in the open air.
but I barely heard it there.
Your smile caught me off my guard, like it didn't have to try so hard. And I forgot to overthink
Everything I usually think.
and for a while I didn't question what we were. I just stayed right there with you. We laughed like it was easy, like everything made sense, like nothing in the world could pull us out of it. We laughed like it was nothing, but it felt so real, like something I'd remember without trying to feel. Maybe it was just that day, maybe it just slipped away, but something in the way we were
Still feels like it could occur.
We laughed like it was easy, and I still go back to that quiet moment in a simple laugh. We laughed like it was easy,
And maybe that was true.
nothing complicated.
Just me and you. We stayed a little after everyone had gone. Silence filled the corners, but it didn't feel wrong. You were looking out the window, I was looking at you, thinking of a sentence I was ready to use. It was right there on the edge of my breath, but I kept it in instead. I almost said it, I almost let it fall right into the quiet between us all. I almost told you what I couldn't hide, but something held me just a step behind. You turned just for a second, like you felt it too. Something in your eyes said you almost knew. We laughed about nothing like we always do, but something in that moment felt a little too true. And I don't know if you felt the same, or just let it fade away. I almost said it, I almost broke the line that kept us somewhere safe in time. I almost told you, but I let it go, and now I'll never really know. Maybe it was better leaving things this that's enough to keep it somewhere soft and untouched. I almost told you, but I stayed inside, and now it lives there where I let it hide. I almost said it.
We didn't say much, but we didn't need to. The space between us was already see-through. Your shoulder touching mine like it had a place, and I didn't move away.
I just stayed in place. It wasn't planned, but it felt too real to just pretend. We were too close to call it nothing, too quiet to mean something.
But somewhere in between we stayed like that,
not falling apart,
but not
falling back. We were too close to walk away clean, too soft to call it a dream.
Your voice got lower, like it knew the night was holding on to
every word just right.
You looked at me, but didn't stay too long.
Like crossing that line might prove us wrong.
And I don't know if we were holding back or
holding on. We were too close to call it nothing, too still to turn into something. But every second there said more than words, like we both felt it, but never confirmed. We were too close to leave it alone, too near to say we're unknown. Maybe we both knew where this could go, but we stayed right there, just not to know. We were too close to call it nothing, and now I still feel that quiet something. Not quite love, not quite alive, just something that stayed between you and I. Too close to call it nothing.
we didn't notice when it changed. No sudden moment, no big day, just somewhere in the passing time you stayed, and I stayed right. No need to fill the quiet space No need to rush or rearrange. Everything just felt in place, like we had found our pace. And I don't know how we got here without trying, but I don't question it now. It felt like we were already there, like nothing needed to be said. No rush, no fear, just you right here. It felt like we were already home, without ever being alone. No lines to cross, no sense of loss. We talked about the smallest things, and somehow they meant everything. Not because of what we said, but how it stayed instead. Your hand resting next to mine, not reaching out but still aligned. We didn't need to make it clear, we just let it live right here. And I don't know why this feels more real than anything that I tried to define. It felt like we were already there, like time was softer in the air. No need to prove what we already knew. It felt like we were already close, without saying it the most. No big design, just you and I. Maybe it won't stay this way, maybe things will change someday, but right now it feels so right, like we don't need to try. It felt like we were already there, like we had always been somewhere. We didn't rush, we didn't care. It felt like we were already home, in a way I've never known. No words to say, just let it stay. It felt like we were already there. You were standing by the corner where the traffic lights would change. I could feel it in your silence, something didn't feel the same. People moved around us slowly, like a picture out of time. You were close enough to hold me, but your eyes were somewhere else tonight. I almost asked you what was on your mind, but I let the moment pass. not the way you used to. You smiled, then looked away, like you were afraid to. I knew, but I didn't say what my heart already knew. That day you didn't stay, even standing next to you. There were cars along the avenue and sunlight on your face. I remember thinking softly, maybe love can lose its place. You said it wasn't nothing, but nothing felt so strange, like a song still playing somewhere after someone walks away. I almost reached out, but something held me still. Maybe I was scared, I always will. That day you didn't stay, not the way you used to. You smiled, then looked away, like you were afraid to. I knew, but I didn't say what my heart already knew. That day you didn't stay, even standing next to you. Maybe it was just a shadow, maybe just a passing mood, but I still remember clearly how the distance entered you. That day you didn't stay, though you never left me. Something drifted far away, quietly, gently. I knew, but I let it fade, like the afternoon light too. That day you didn't stay, and I still remember you. We didn't fight, we didn't break, no sudden words we couldn't take. Just somewhere in the passing days, we slowly went our separate ways. You stopped calling like before, I didn't ask you anymore. And in between the space we made, we let it quietly drift away. No one said it, but we both knew something had already moved. We let it fade like that, no looking back, no need to ask where it all went. We let it fade like that, no crash, no crack, just something soft that never came back. saw your name once on my phone, but I just left it there alone. Not because I didn't care, but I knew we weren't there. We used to stay up talking late. Now silence came without a wait. Like something natural it changed, and neither of us rearranged. No one forced it, no one tried. We just let it pass us by. We let it fade like that. No turning back. No final words, no aftermath. We let it fade like that. No need for that. Just something we outgrew in fact. Maybe love doesn't always break. Maybe sometimes it just fades. Like a song that softly ends before it even needs an end. We let it fade like that, and that was that. No heavy heart, no deep regret. We let it fade like that, just left it flat, a quiet end to something we had.
You were crossing at the light, looking somewhere to your right. Didn't notice me at first, I was just another blur. City noise was all around, cars and voices passing sound. Then you turned for just a second, like the moment wasn't planned. And I don't know why, but something in that glance stayed a little longer. We met like it meant nothing,
Just a passing scene,
no words, no warning.
just somewhere in between.
We met like it meant nothing,
But I felt it then,
like something starting
before it could begin.
You said something I don't recall, maybe nothing much at all.
But I remember how it felt,
Like time slowed down itself.
people moving past us fast, like we didn't have to ask why that moment stayed so clear. Even now it's still right here, and I still don't know what made it feel that way. But I didn't look away. We met like it meant nothing, But it didn't fade.
something in that second
Quietly stayed.
we met like it meant nothing.
Just a simple day,
But somehow different
in a subtle way. Maybe it was just the light, or the way you caught my eye,
or maybe something more. to feel.
We ordered something simple, didn't really matter what. You laughed about the menu like you couldn't make it up. Sunlight through the window, falling on your hair. I tried to keep it casual, but I stayed a little there. And I don't know why time didn't move the same. While I was sitting with you, we sat there a little too long, like we didn't mind the time, like nothing had to be said for everything to feel right. We sat there a little too long, after everything was gone, just two empty cups and something going on. People came and went around us like we weren't really there. Every little thing you said felt lighter in the air. You looked down for a moment, then smiled without a sound. And somehow in that silence, something settled down. And I didn't try to figure what we were, I just stayed a little longer. We sat there a little too long, like it didn't feel wrong, like time was softer somehow when you were around. We sat there a little too long, not needing to move on, just letting it be whatever it could be. Maybe it was nothing, just a quiet afternoon, but something in that moment felt a little too soon. We sat there a little too long, and I still hold on to how it all felt, so simple and calm. We sat there a little too long, and now it's still strong, that quiet beginning that carried us on. Without a direction, side by side, no question. Your shoulder brushing mine, like it happened all the time. Didn't say a single word, but everything was heard in the space we didn't leave, and the way we chose to be. It wasn't planned, we didn't try, but something changed in that quiet line. We didn't pull away when we could have. We stayed right there, like we both knew there was no other way. Your hand moved just enough, not reaching but it was close. I felt it in the air, like something almost there. Streetlights slowly coming on, but we kept walking on, like we didn't wanna break whatever this could make. And I don't know when it became so real, but I could feel we didn't pull away even for a second. We stayed too close to call it just connection. We didn't pull away, we didn't pretend that this was something we could just suspend. Maybe it's the way we move, like we already knew. What we didn't say still found its way. We didn't pull away, and that was enough to know this wasn't something we could brush. We didn't pull away, we let it begin without a word, without giving in. We were closer than before, didn't question it at all. And something shifted quietly, like we felt it but ignored. You still walked right next to me, but there was a space between. Not enough to call it distance, but enough to feel unseen. And I don't know what changed that day, but something drifted anyway. We stepped back without a reason, like we didn't wanna see it. How close we almost came to something we couldn't name. We stepped back without a word, like we both felt it first, but didn't wanna try to ask each other why. You laughed like nothing changed, and I did the same. But somewhere in the sound, it didn't feel the same. Your hand moved less this time, like it knew the line we didn't cross again, but we had crossed before. And I could feel we both knew it too, but we didn't let it through. We stepped back without a reason, like we needed something to believe in, that it was still okay to keep
between close and undone. We step back without a reason, and I still can't believe it, how something so near could just disappear. We step back without a word, and somehow that made it hurt more than anything we could say. We just stepped away. The room was quiet, almost still. Streetlight resting on the sill. I tried to close my eyes again, but you were there, just like then. Every word we didn't say found its way into my head. I turned the night into a place where all those thoughts just stayed. And I don't know if it's real or just in me, but it won't let me sleep. I stayed awake thinking of you, like there was nothing else to do. Every moment playing back in the silence and the black. I stayed awake thinking of you, like I was trying to find the truth in everything we almost were, in every word I never heard. The clock kept moving slow and clear, but I was somewhere else in here, between what was and what could be. You stayed like a memory. I didn't try to push it out, I let it stay, I let it doubt. Maybe something in this space was never meant to fade. And I don't know if I should let it go, or just let it grow. I stayed awake thinking of you, like it was all I ever knew. Every quiet little sign still repeating in my mind. I stayed awake thinking of you, like there was something I should do, but I just stayed inside this night, holding on without a fight. Maybe morning will erase what I couldn't face, but right now it feels too true to pretend I never knew. I stayed awake thinking of you until the sky turned pale and blue, and somewhere in the early light I lost you with the night. I stayed awake thinking of you, and now I don't know what to do with something that I can't undo. I stayed awake thinking of you.
saw you standing by the light, same corner, different night. Didn't think I'd see you there, but somehow you were everywhere. You looked up just like before, like we'd been there once or more. For a second time stood still, like it always somehow will. I didn't know if I should walk away or just stay. We ran into each other again, like nothing ever changed back then. But something in the way we stood said it wasn't understood. We ran into each other again, like we were more than just old friends. But neither one of us would say what we still felt that day. You asked me how I've been, like it didn't mean a thing. I said I'm doing fine, but you could read between the lines. Cars were passing, people moved, but I was stuck right there with you, trying not to show too much, trying not to feel your touch. And I could tell you felt it too, but we didn't let it through. We ran into each other again, and something pulled us back in, but we kept it all inside, like we were trying to hide. Again, and I don't know where to begin with everything we didn't say, still hanging in the air that day. Maybe it was just bad timing, maybe something misaligned, but seeing you like that again brought it all back in my mind. We ran into each other again, and I still don't understand how something that we let go could still feel so close. We ran into each other again, and I felt it just like then. Not gone, not through, still somewhere with you. Flipping through the vinyl like you had all the time. Sunlight on the window falling right behind. I was looking for a record, didn't know just what. Then you turned and said something about a song I'd never heard. And I don't know why I stayed a little longer than I planned to. You were the girl at the record store, talking like you'd been there before. Every word felt easy somehow, like we didn't need it figured out. You were the girl at the record store, and I didn't need much more. Just that moment in between, something small, but it stayed with me. We talked about nothing and everything at once. Old songs, broken lyrics, and where they came from. You smiled when you listened, like you understood. Something in the silence felt a little too good. And I didn't think it would mean a thing, but it did. You were the girl at the record store, standing by the wooden floor, with a song still in your hand, like you already had a plan. You were the girl at the record store, and I didn't ask for more. Didn't ask your name or why, we just let it pass us by. Maybe it was just a day, maybe you just walked away, but something in that sound still spins Every time I hear that song, I feel like I went wrong. You were the girl at the record store, and I never saw you anymore. But something in that day still hasn't gone away. You stand near the window every morning at the same time. Headphones on, but not too loud, like you still hear the line. Hair falling just past your shoulder, catching light when doors slide open. You don't look around that much, but somehow I stay focused. And I don't know your name, but I know your place in this routine. You're the girl on the 8:15 train. Same stop, same seat, same quiet way. Every day feels just the same, until I see your face again. You're the girl on the 8:15 train. Never look, never say my name, but something in the space we share feels like something's there. Hold your bag a certain way, like you've done it all your life. Sometimes reading, sometimes just looking at nothing outside. There's a moment when the train slows down and the sunlight hits your side, and I always miss my stop if I'm looking at you too long. I don't say a word, I just stay right there in the same air. You're the girl on the 8:15 train, passing by me every day. I don't know what I would say if I let this go away. You're the girl on the 8:15 train, just a face I can't explain, but every time I see you there, I wish I cared to dare. Maybe one day I'll say hello, maybe I'll just let it go, but right now it's enough for me to just let it be. You're the girl on the 8:15 train, and I'll be there just the same. Same time, same quiet scene, somewhere in between. You're the girl on the 8:15 train, and I don't know what it means, but something in this passing view feels like I almost knew you. It started falling out of nowhere, just a quiet afternoon. People running for cover as the gray sky came too soon. He stood there for a second, looking up then back at me. I said, I've got room if you want. He smiled and stepped in easily. We didn't say much, just walked side by side. In a smaller world, we shared the same umbrella, and everything felt close, not just from the weather, but something I can't explain the most. We shared the same umbrella, and I felt it then, how something so simple could stay with me again. Your sleeve brushed against mine every time we turned a street, and I tried not to notice, but it stayed with every step we'd meet. Cars were passing slowly, lights reflecting on the ground, but all I really heard was the quiet in that sound. And for a while, the rain just disappeared. Inside that space,
and nothing felt too far. Just one small moment, but it stayed right where we are. We shared the same umbrella, and I didn't move away, like something in that distance had quietly changed. Maybe it was just the rain, maybe just a passing day, but something in that closeness didn't fade away. We shared the same umbrella, and I still feel it now. That quiet little moment I never figured out. We shared the same umbrella, and maybe that was all. But something in that rain still hasn't left at all.
We set up tents by the shoreline, laughing like we had no time. Music playing from a radio, barefoot dancing in the glow. You were sitting with your friends, hair caught in the ocean wind. Didn't try to stand out much, but somehow I just noticed. And I don't know why, out of everyone there, you were the one I'd stare. You were the one by the campfire, laughing in the amber light. Something in the way you moved stayed with me that night. You were the one by the campfire, didn't even try too hard, but something in your quiet smile left a mark inside my heart. We talked just a little while about nothing, but it felt worthwhile. You said you didn't come here much, but I'm glad you showed up. Your friends called you from behind, but you stayed just one more time, like you didn't want to leave that small space between you and me. And I don't know when that simple night turned into something I'd rewind. You were the one by the campfire, standing in the fading light. I didn't know your story yet, but I wanted to that night. still see you there in every quiet summer night and every ocean air. You were the one by the campfire, and I never saw you again. But something in that single night still feels like it began.
The road was empty after midnight, streetlights fading one by one. You said we didn't need a plan tonight, just keep driving till the morning comes. Radio playing something low, you tapped your hand along the sound. Didn't talk too much, but somehow everything felt louder now. And I don't know when the silence turned into something I could feel. We drove without a destination, just following the night. Somewhere in the conversation, everything felt right. We drove without a destination, no reason to explain, but something in that quiet motion still runs through my veins. You leaned your head against the window, watching lights pass slowly by. I kept my eyes out on the road, but you were somewhere on my mind. There was something in the distance, something we didn't name, but every mile we left behind didn't feel the same. And I could tell you felt it too, in the way you stayed. We drove without a destination, just letting moments flow. Somewhere in the hesitation, we started to let go. We drove without a destination, and I still feel it now, like something in that night never really slowed down. Maybe it was just the night, maybe just the empty sky, but something in the way we move still hasn't passed me by. We drove without a destination, and I still don't know why, but something in that quiet road still stays with me tonight. We drove without a destination, and I never asked where to, because I think I already knew it was leading me to you. You sat by the window every morning, same table, same quiet way.
coffee cup in your right hand, looking out like you might stay. I didn't think much of it at first, just another face in line. But something in the way you moved started settling in my mind. And I don't know when it became a part of me to look for you. You were always there at night, like a small and steady sign. Nothing said, nothing new, but I kept noticing you. You were always there at night, like a rhythm I could find in the middle of my day. You just stayed that way. Sometimes you'd bring a book along, sometimes just sit in silence. I tried not to look too long, but somehow lost that balance. There were mornings you weren't there, and it felt a little strange, like something in the air had quietly rearranged. And I didn't think it would matter this much, but it did. You were always there at night, and I didn't cross the line. Never said a single word, still I felt something occur. You were always there at night, and I let it stay undefined. Just a moment every day that never went away. Maybe it's nothing more than a passing daily scene, but something in that quiet space still means more than it seems. You were always there at night, and I still recall the time when it felt like something small wasn't small at all. You were always there at night, and I never asked you why, but I still remember you like I always do. The train was moving slow that morning, fields just passing out of view. You sat across without a warning, like you always somehow knew. Your bag was resting by your feet, a ticket folded in your hand. We didn't say a single thing, but something felt unplanned. And I don't know why, in a place like that, you felt so close. We met somewhere between stations, in a moment out of time. No names, no explanations, just your eyes meeting mine. We met somewhere
just once, then looked away like you didn't want to try. I almost asked you where you're going, but I let the question slide. The train slowed down, your stop came soon. You stood without a word, and in that space you left behind, something still was heard. And I still don't know if I should have said something more. We met somewhere between stations, just a passing line, but something in that conversation still replays in my mind. We met somewhere between stations, and I never saw you again, but something in that single moment felt like it began. Maybe it was just the view, or the way the light fell through, but something in that moving space still holds your trace. We met somewhere between stations, and I still don't understand how something so small and fleeting could stay just as it began. We met somewhere between stations, and I let it fade away, but something in that quiet ride still hasn't gone away. You sit 2 tables over, always in the same place, a book held a little closer, like it hides your face. I try not to look too often, but I always do. Every quiet little movement leads my eyes to you, and I don't know why this feels so real when nothing's even there. I only see you between the shelves, like no one else exists. In this quiet space I keep to myself, and something feels like this. I only see you between the shelves, in every little glance, and I keep pretending I'm fine while losing every chance. You turn a page so slowly, like you've nowhere to be, and I wonder if you'd notice, if you ever noticed me. I stay a little longer, even when I should leave, just to sit inside the silence where you quietly breathe. And I don't know how something so small take up all of me. I only see you between the shelves, like it's all I can do to stay right here and say nothing while everything feels true. I only see you between the shelves, and I can't explain why someone I don't even know can stay inside my day. Maybe it's just a passing thought, maybe it will fade, but something in the way you are still hasn't gone away. I only see you between the shelves, and I stay right here in a story I never wrote, but still feel so clear. I only see you between the shelves, and I don't say a word, but something in this quiet place still feels like it's heard.
You came in with someone I knew, like it was nothing new. Just another night, just a place, but I kept noticing your face. You laughed before I caught the joke, like you already knew the tone. And something in the way you stayed made the whole room feel okay. And I don't know why, out of everyone there, you felt a little different. You came with someone I knew, but somehow I noticed you. In between the noise and light, you stayed in my mind that night. You came with someone I knew, but something about you felt like more than just a name, in a passing kind of way. We talked about the smallest things, like they meant everything. Nothing deep, nothing planned, just a drink in your hand. You said something I forgot, but I remember how you looked, like you didn't try too hard, but still left a mark. And I didn't think it would stay this long, but it did. You came with someone I knew, and I kept turning to you. Every time the room got loud, you were somehow standing out. You came with someone I knew, but I stayed a little too long in that moment there, like something was in the air. Maybe it was just that night, maybe just the way the light fell across your face in that quiet place. You came with someone I knew, and I never asked about you, but something in that night still feels like it might. You came with someone I knew, and I still remember you, like a song I almost knew, but never followed through.
Called a little after midnight, said it wouldn't take too long. I said I had some time, but I stayed on way too long. You talked about the smallest things, like they mattered in that space, but I barely heard the meaning. I was lost in how you say it. Every word you say falls a little slower in my mind. I stayed for your voice, not for what you said.
Something in the way it moved got inside my head.
I stayed for your voice, like I had no choice.
Every little breath you take
turns into a noise.
You laughed just once, then softer, like you didn't want to wake.
Something in that quiet tone
felt like something I could take. You said maybe I should go now, but I didn't let you go. Said just
one more minute,
but I already knew it wasn't the words,
it wasn't the line,
it was something in between. I
stayed for your voice, and I didn't care
what the night was turning into,
as long as you were there. I stayed for your voice, and I lost the time.
In every little pause you made,
I stayed a little longer in my mind.
maybe it's nothing real,
Maybe just the way it feels,
but something in that sound
still keeps me around. I stayed for your voice, even after we hung up,
still replaying everything
like I couldn't get enough. I stayed for your voice, and I don't know why,
but something in that quiet tone
still hasn't said goodbye. The rain came down without a warning, soft against the glass outside. I stepped into the nearest doorway, just to let the moment slide. Coffee brewing in the distance, low conversations in the air, but all I really seemed to notice was the rhythm settling there, every drop falling slow. like it had somewhere to go. I stayed for the sound of rain falling soft against the pane. Didn't need a single thing, just that quiet, steady ring. I stayed for the sound of rain, let it wash away the day. In that little space I found, everything came slowing down. People came and left in silence, like a scene I didn't know. Time was moving, but it didn't feel like it was mine to hold. Steam rising from the table, gentle gray. Something in that soft reflection made me want to stay. And I don't know why it felt so right to just be still. My feet there on the ground. Maybe it was just the day, maybe just the light and gray, but something in that gentle noise felt like more than just a choice. I stayed for the sound of rain, and I'd do it all again, just to sit and hear it fall. Like it says it all, I stayed for the sound of rain, and it still remains somewhere in my quiet mind. Every time it rains,
You sat there in the sunlight like you had nowhere to be, a book resting on your knees, not really reading, just breathing. The trees were moving slowly, shadows dancing on the ground, and everything around you felt a little more calm. And I don't know why I stayed a little longer, just watching you. You sat there in the sunlight, and everything felt right. Not a word, not a sound, just the moment all around. You sat there in the sunlight like the day was on your side, and I didn't need to know anything more than that. People passing by in silence, dogs running through the grass. You didn't seem to notice how the whole world moved past. You brushed your hair behind you like it didn't mean a thing, but something in that small move made everything begin. And I don't know when it turned into something I couldn't ignore. You sat there in the sunlight, and I stayed in that sight, like time slowed down for me in that quiet scenery. You sat there in the sunlight, and I didn't try to hide that I wanted to stay a little more that day. Maybe it was nothing real, just the way that moment feels, but something in that light still stays in my mind. You sat there in the sunlight, and I still see that sight. Every time the day feels slow, I go back to that glow. Sunlight, and I never said a word, but something in that silence still feels like it was heard.
Weights hitting on the floor, music loud, but I ignored. Something caught my eye instead. Before I knew you were there, you moved like you had a rhythm. Didn't try, but it was given. Every step felt natural, like it wasn't casual. And I don't know why I kept looking over more than I should. I noticed you before I meant to, like something pulled me through, in a place I didn't expect to feel something new. I noticed you before I meant to, didn't know what to do. Every time I looked away, I kept looking back to you. You wiped the sweat from your face, didn't care who's in your space. Focused like the world was gone, still I stayed there way too long. Tried to act like I was fine, counting reps just passing time, but everything felt off somehow, like you were in and out. And I don't know when it stopped being nothing, started to stay. I noticed you before I met you, and now it's all I do. In every mirror, every move, I keep catching you. I noticed you before I meant to, and I can't undo first glance still hasn't slowed down.
We sit across the table like we've done 1,000 times. Same cup, same quiet rhythm, different kind of silence. You look up for a second, then go back to what you see. And I wonder when it happened, this space between you and me. We're still here, but something's changed in ways we never say. We don't talk like we used to, not the way we did before. Every word feels smaller now, like we don't reach anymore. We don't talk like we used to, but we still stay the same in a love that doesn't leave, even when it fades. I remember all the laughter that filled up every room. Now it's softer, more familiar, like a well-known tune. You still know how I take my coffee, I still know the way you sigh. But somewhere in the knowing, we forgot to ask each other why. And I don't know if we lost something or just became it. We don't talk like we used to, but we don't walk away. There's something in the quiet that still asks us to stay. We don't talk like we used to, but I still feel you near in every little habit that's been here for years. Maybe love doesn't always burn, maybe sometimes it just turns into something softer, slow, something only we would know. We don't talk like we used to, but I wouldn't trade this place. Even if the words are gone, I still know your face. Oh, we don't talk like we used to, and maybe that's okay. Some things don't need to be said to still remain. over the quiet rain. Before you said a word, something in the falling sound felt like it had heard. You looked at me so softly, like you didn't wanna stay. And I already felt it slipping far away. And I tried to hold the moment still, but it moved. The rain knew before I did that you were letting go. Every drop against the glass said what I didn't know. The rain knew before I did, before you said goodbye. It felt like it was morning, something still alive. You spoke in careful sentences, like they wouldn't break. But every word you gave me was something I couldn't take. I nodded like I understood, like I'd be okay. But something in the silence was already gone that day. And I stayed, though I knew there was nothing left to lose. The rain knew before I did that this would be the end. It kept falling down the same, like it wouldn't pretend. The rain knew before I did, before I could believe. But something I was holding was already out of reach. Maybe love doesn't disappear, maybe it just stays right here in the sound of falling rain, calling out your name. The rain knew before I did, and I still hear it now. Every time the sky turns gray, it takes me back somehow. The rain knew before I did, and I still don't know why. Something that I couldn't keep still won't say goodbye. We didn't plan a single thing, just walked until we found something. A street, a song, a passing line, and somehow it all felt right. You said something out of place and laughed before I could react. I tried to stay a little calm, but I just ended up like that. And I don't know why. It felt so easy to just be there. You made it feel like nothing matters, like we could stay like this forever. In every laugh and every sound, you turn the whole day upside down. You made it feel like nothing matters, like time just slid right past us. And I didn't want to see it go, I just wanted you to know.
like we forgot how time could be. You said let's not go home just yet, and I didn't even question it. The sky was fading into gold, and everything felt uncontrolled, but in that kind of simple way where nothing needs to stay. And I don't know how you made it feel so light somehow. You made it feel like nothing matters, like every second came together in ways I didn't understand, but didn't need to plan. You made it feel like nothing matters, and I kept chasing after every little thing you did, like I didn't want to miss. Maybe it's just one of those days that never really goes away, but something in the way you are still feels a little too far. You made it feel like nothing matters, and I still go back to laughter every time I think of you. It all comes back like something new. You made it feel like nothing matters, and maybe that's what matters more than anything I knew, was just that day with you. I found you in an old photograph, faded edges, moments past. We were standing side by side, like we had nothing left to hide. Sunlight caught your smiling face, frozen in that quiet place. I forgot how it could feel so close, so soft, so real. And I didn't know a single frame could bring it all back again. I found you in an old photograph, and suddenly I went back to every word we used to say, and every little yesterday. I found you in an old photograph, and nothing felt too far, like time just folded in on me and brought me where you are. There's a mark across the corner, like we carried it too long. And I wonder if you ever think of where we went wrong, or maybe it was never wrong, just something that we had. And even if it didn't stay, it wasn't something bad. And I still feel of you. In everything we knew, I found you in an old photograph, and I didn't try to look back, but something in that silent frame still quietly called your name. I found you in an old photograph, and I stayed a little while, just holding on to what we were in that captured smile. Maybe memories don't fade, they just soften over days into something we can keep without needing to repeat. I found you in an old photograph, and I didn't feel so sad, just something warm and bittersweet. Every memory we had, I found you in an old photograph, and I let it gently pass, like something I don't need to chase, but still can't quite erase.
We stood beneath the departure board, letters changing overhead. You held your ticket in your hand, but nothing else was said. People moved around us fast, like time was pulling them away. But in that space we stayed too still, with nothing left to say. And I don't know if we were waiting or just letting go. We watched the departure board like it could say it for us. Every line that changed above felt like it was enough. We watched the departure board, and I didn't reach for you. Somewhere in that silent space, I knew you had to go. You said you'd call me when you land, like it would stay the same. I nodded like I understood, but nothing felt unchanged. Your name was never on that screen, but I still read every line, like something in those shifting words was telling me goodbye. And I don't know if I should have tried to hold you close. We watched the departure board and let the moment pass, like something we couldn't stop was moving fast. and I just stayed right there, while everything we didn't say was hanging in the air. Maybe love doesn't always stay, maybe it just finds its way into something we can't keep, but still can't fully leave. We watch the departure board, and I still see it now. Every time I think of you, it somehow brings me back. We watched the departure board, and I never asked you why, but something in that quiet place still feels like goodbye. A city I didn't know, streets that felt like they could go anywhere but back to you. And maybe that was something new. Cars were passing, lights were green, everything felt in between. Not quite lost, not quite found, just a different kind of ground. And I don't know if I was running or just moving on. I walked a city I didn't know, and let the feeling come and go. Every step a little light, in a place without your name in sight. And I didn't feel alone. Something in the way it felt made me stand there on my own. A cafe on a corner street, music drifting soft and sweet. I didn't stop, just kept the pace, like I was finding my own space. The air was colder than before, but I didn't mind it anymore. Like something in the quiet air was telling me I'd get somewhere. And I don't know when it stopped hurting quite the same. I walked a city I didn't know, and let the past just slowly go. Not a race, just out of view, like something I once knew. That I could finally breathe. Maybe love doesn't disappear, maybe it just stays somewhere, but I don't have to carry it everywhere. I walked a city I didn't know, and I still remember though every road I took that night.
do something right. I walked a city I didn't know, and I finally let it go. Not because it didn't stay, but because I found my way. You said something I didn't expect, like it didn't matter much, just a simple line in passing. But it stayed a little too much. We were standing in a small place, waiting for nothing at all. And somehow in that moment, I didn't feel small. And I don't know why that one little phrase stayed in my mind. You said something I didn't expect, and I haven't forgotten it yet. Not because it meant so much, but the way you said it was enough. You said something I didn't expect, and it caught me in that second, like something new had begun, before I could even run. We didn't stay that long, didn't need to try, just a few exchanged words and a quiet goodbye. But something in the way you stood, like you didn't force a thing, made everything around you feel like it could begin. And I didn't think it would go this far, but it did. Expect, and I keep replaying it in the smallest kind of way. It stayed with me all day. You said something I didn't expect, and I didn't try to connect, but something in that tone made me feel less alone. Maybe it's nothing at all, just a moment I recall, but something in the way it felt still hasn't gone. You said something I didn't expect, and I still remember it like a line I never knew could bring me back. What it was or what it meant, but I haven't let it rest.
We were walking side by side, talking about nothing much. Street lights slowly coming on, evening settling in on us. You said something I forgot. I laughed a little too long, And somewhere in that moment, something quietly moved on. And I don't know when it happened at all. It just felt right. We didn't even notice when our hands met in between. No sudden change, no turning point, just something soft and unseen. We didn't even notice, we just let it stay, like it had always been that way from the start of the day. Your fingers felt so natural, like they already knew mine. No hesitation, no surprise, just a quiet kind of sign. People passing by us fast, but we stayed in our own pace, like nothing in the world around could take us from that place. And I didn't try to understand, I just stayed. We didn't even notice how it came to be. Something in that simple touch changed everything for me. We didn't even notice, we didn't say a word, but something in that silence felt like it was heard. Maybe it was always there, just waiting in the air for us to let it through without needing to. We didn't even notice, but I still feel it now, that quiet little moment I can't forget somehow. We didn't even notice, and I don't need to know how something so simple could stay with me so long.
We were standing by the corner, same place as yesterday. Nothing felt too different, but something felt that way. I looked at you a second, longer than before, and I didn't wanna hide it like I always did before. And I don't know why it felt like the right time to say it out loud. I think I like you, and you didn't look away, didn't laugh it off, didn't try to change the day. I think I like you, and you just stayed right there, like you already knew something was in the air. You smiled just a little, like it wasn't something new. And in that quiet moment, I could feel it too. No big words were needed, no sudden change in tone. Just the way you stayed with me felt like I wasn't alone. And I didn't hesitate, like it was something simple we didn't complicate. Maybe love doesn't begin with a moment loud and clear. Maybe it just settles in like it's always been here. I think I like you, and I still feel it now. Not because of what you said, but the way you stayed somehow. I think I like you, and I don't need to know where it's going next, just that it didn't go. You walk in at the same time every day around noon. Stand a little to the left side, like you've always done. You don't even check the menu, just a quiet same again. And the way you say it softly makes me listen every time. And I don't know why it's such a small thing, but I keep noticing you always order the same thing, like nothing needs to change. In a world that's always moving, you stay just the same. You always order the same thing, and I don't know your name, but something in that simple way keeps pulling me your way. You sit down by the window where the sunlight hits the most, sometimes reading, sometimes not, just sitting there alone. You stir your cup slowly like you're not in a rush, and I keep telling myself it doesn't mean that much, but I still look every time you come in, like I expect something. You always order the same thing, and I stay a little late just to see you walk back out at almost 8:30. You always order the same thing, and maybe that's okay. Something in that quiet habit makes me wanna stay. Maybe I'll say hello, maybe I'll just let it go, but right now it's enough just knowing you show up. You always order the same thing, and I still don't know why, but something in that simple scene keeps passing me by. You always order the same thing, and I let it stay, like something I don't need to change, just to feel this way. It was late, almost closing, lights were humming overhead. I picked up something random didn't think too much of it. You were standing at the counter, half awake but still kind. You said that'll be $1 without looking in my eyes, and I don't know why I stayed a second more than I should. You said have a good night, like it meant something more. Just a simple line I had heard before. You said have a good night, and I walked outside, but something in that moment stayed with me inside. The street was quiet after midnight, air a little cold. I turned back for a second just to see you through the door. You were wiping down the counter like I wasn't even there, but something in that passing glance stayed in the air, and I don't know why that small exchange felt different. You said have a good night, and I can't explain why something so ordinary didn't feel the same. You said have a good night, and I didn't reply the way I wanted to before I passed you by. Maybe it's just the hour, maybe just the light, but something in that quiet place felt a little right. You said have a good night, and I still hear it now in every late night silence. It somehow comes around. You said have a good night, and I let it fade, but something in that moment still quietly stayed. The bus was moving slowly through streets I didn't know. You were standing on the sidewalk, but I didn't let you know. I saw you through the window, just for a passing frame, like something I could reach for, but never call your name. And And I don't know why I didn't try to step outside. I watched you through the window as the distance grew, every second pulling me further away from you. I watched you through the window, and I stayed in my seat, like something in that moment wasn't mine to keep. You didn't even notice that I was passing by, or maybe you just felt it, but chose to let it slide. The glass between us blurred you like a fading line, and I kept telling myself this wasn't the time. And I could have gotten off that ride, but I didn't move. I watched you through the window, and I let it go like something I already knew I'd never get to know. I watched you through the window, and I didn't try to turn around or ask you why. Maybe some things stay like this, a moment we just miss, not because we didn't feel, but because we didn't reach. I watched you through the window until you disappeared, and something in that quiet loss stayed a little here. I watched you through the window, and I still see you there in every passing street I take, in every empty stare. I typed your name into my phone like I had done before, watched the cursor blinking slow, but didn't write much more. I thought about the things I'd say, then erased them one by one, like if I kept it quiet, nothing would come undone. And I don't know why it feels so hard to cross that line. I didn't press send, I just let it stay somewhere in between what I wanted to say. I didn't press send, and I don't know why something in my chest wouldn't let me try. I read the last thing that you wrote from weeks ago that night. It didn't mean that much back then, but now it feels too right. I held the phone a little longer, like it might change my mind, but every second passing by just left it all behind. And I could have, but I stayed right there, doing nothing. I didn't press send, I just watched the screen, like maybe something else would step in between. I didn't press send, maybe I was scared of what you'd say or what you wouldn't say. I didn't press it, and I still think about that single message I left on the brink. I didn't press it, and now I see it wasn't just the words, it was me.
I saw you before I was ready. Across the street in daylight. No warning, no time to think. Just you there in plain sight. You look just like I remember. Maybe even more. And every word I never sent came rushing back for sure. And I don't know if I should stay or turn away. I saw you before I was ready, and I couldn't hide everything I kept inside. Came up all at once that time. I saw you before I was ready, and I didn't move like something in that single glance pulled me back to you. You smiled like it was nothing, like we just missed a day. And I tried to match your tone, but my heart gave me away. We talked about the smallest things, like nothing had gone wrong. But somewhere in the quiet gaps, I knew it all along. And I could feel there was still something we didn't lose. I saw you before I was ready, and I stayed right there, like maybe I was meant to be, standing in that air. I saw you before I was ready, and I didn't run. For once I let the moment stay, instead of coming undone. Maybe I was always late, maybe I just had to wait until the moment found me first, before I found the nerve. I saw you before I was ready, and I'm glad I did. Something in that sudden place felt like it always lived. I saw you
voice was drifting down the street, simple chords, a steady beat. I stopped without a reason why, just stood there as the world went by. The song felt oddly familiar, like something I once knew. And in the middle of that sound, I found myself thinking of you. And I don't know why, out of all the nights, you came to mind. The song led me back to you in a way I can't explain. Somewhere between the melody and the falling evening rain, the song led me back to you, and I didn't even try. Like something in that quiet sound brought you into my life. I turned my head just for a second, like something pulled my sight. And there you were, not far away, standing in the light. You looked at me the same way, like you felt it too. And in that moment, nothing else felt as real as you. And I didn't move, I didn't speak, but everything changed. The song led me back to you, and I stayed right there, like something in that passing scene was more than just the air. The song led me back to you, and we both just knew that something in that simple night was starting something new. Maybe it's just a coincidence, or just the way it seems, but something in that melody felt closer than a dream. The song led me back to you, and I still hear it now. Every time that sound returns, it takes me there somehow. The song led me back to you, and I let it stay, like something I was meant to find in the quietest way. We said we'd meet sometime again, but didn't fix a day. Still somehow we crossed our paths in that familiar coffee here, a walk somewhere, a movie we have saw. Nothing ever planned too much, but we kept coming back. And I don't know when it stopped being chance and started to stay. We just kept meeting like this,
like it was nothing new.
every time a little more.
I got used to you.
We just kept meeting like this,
without a reason why.
but something in those little hours stayed when we said goodbye. You tell me something small, like it meant a lot to you, and I'd listen a little longer than I used to do.
We didn't try to label it, didn't need to say, but something in the way we were
Was quietly okay, and I didn't think it would turn into something I'd wait for. We just kept meeting like this,
and I didn't mind
letting all the space between
fall a little behind.
We just kept meeting like this,
and I started to see
that something in this simple thing was turning into we. Maybe it's not a sudden start, maybe it just grows in parts into something we don't name, but feel the We just kept meeting like this, and I still do. Every little moment now feels a little more like you. We just kept meeting like this,
and I don't
need to know where it's going next from here. Just that I don't wanna let it go.
You opened up the door slowly, like it wasn't something new. But everything inside that space felt closer to you. Books stacked on the corner shelf, a jacket on a chair. Little things I never knew were quietly living there. And I don't know why, it felt like I was seeing more than just a place. I saw your world for the first time, in the way you live your days. Every little thing you didn't hide stayed with me that way. I saw your world for the first time, and I didn't feel far, like something in that simple room told me who you are. You asked me if I wanted tea, like it mattered what I'd say. And I said yes a little too fast, just so I could stay. We talked about the smallest things like they filled the room, but something in the quiet gaps was growing too. And I could feel we were crossing something new. I saw your world for the first time, and I stayed a little more, like I didn't want to leave just yet. That open door, I saw your world for the first time, and I started to see that something in your quiet life was making space for me. Maybe it's not a big change, maybe it's just a step, but something in that simple day is something I won't forget. I saw your world for the first time, and I still feel it now. Every little detail there still shows me how I saw your world for the first time, and I let it stay, like something I was slowly becoming part of that day.
You leaned a little closer, like it wasn't something new, resting in that quiet space between me and you. The room was barely speaking, nothing felt unclear. Every breath between us said everything right here. And I don't need a word to know what already shows. You didn't have to say it, I could feel it there, in the way you stayed with me, like you always cared. You didn't have to say it, I already knew. Something in that quiet moment belonged to me and you. You reached out just to touch my hand, like it had always been. No hesitation, no surprise, just something settling in. We didn't try to name it, didn't need to explain, but everything we didn't say was louder in that frame. Maybe love isn't always loud. Maybe it's just knowing how to stay right here without fear. You didn't have to say it, and I still feel it now. In every little thing you do, in every way somehow. You didn't have to say it, and I don't need to know anything beyond this moment that we won't let go.
The night is settling slowly, nothing left to say. We're sitting in the quiet, letting time just stay. Your hand is resting near mine like it always does. No need to move closer, it's already enough.
And I don't know what comes next,
but I'm not afraid. Maybe we'll still be here tomorrow. Maybe nothing has to change.
in this quiet little moment.
Everything feels the same.
Maybe we'll still be here tomorrow.
And I don't need to know
Where this road is taking us,
as long as we don't go. We've been through all the questions, all the ways to fall. Now it feels much simpler, like we don't need them at all.
the world can keep on moving. We don't have to chase. Something in this stillness feels like the right place.
And I don't need to figure out every step from here. Maybe we'll still be here tomorrow.
And that's enough for me.
Not a promise, not forever.
Just the way it's meant to be.
Maybe we'll still be here tomorrow.
And I'll let it stay,
Like something I don't need to hold,
to keep it from fading away.
Maybe love isn't a line.
With a start and finish sign
Maybe it's just moments like this
that quietly exist.
Maybe we'll still be here tomorrow.
And I still feel it now,
Not because of what we planned,
but the way we are somehow.